Welcome to the Geekcentric podcast, and welcome to our spoiler-free review for Marvel Studios Loki Season 2. Time is everything. It shapes our lives, but perhaps we can shape it. Hello, I'm J-Law, but you can call me Justin, and if you're joining us for the first time, well, we are Geekcentric, a podcast covering the world of movies, TV shows, toys, collectibles, gaming, and all things Geekcentric. Joining me today for this spoiler-free review are three dudes who are ripped from the sacred timeline so that they can be here to share their thoughts with you. We have Kevin Hudson, Nate Shelton, and Darcy Hudson. How are we, dudes?
Hello.
Oh, dude, I'm feeling pruny. I just got out of a bath, feeling very pruny.
This is gonna come across weird, but so did I. It was not at the same time or together.
Not the same bath.
Well, I feel like that would sort of be kind of like a time displacement, maybe a bit of the future and past, because, we are talking about Loki Season 2, and, as we've seen from the trailers, there's going to be some light time traveling. So
maybe we were in the same bathtub, but at different times.
Maybe.
I hope I was in first, man.
Yeah, because think about the last place you used the soap and the first place he uses the soap. Anyways, this all got me thinking, if you could time travel and leave your timeline and live your best life, what year would you want to live in, and what would you want to do? Whoa. Loaded question, eh?
Absolutely.
Got some conundrum faces looking back at me here.
Wait, can I travel back and forth, or is it like that's my life now?
No, that's your life. You would want to live your life there if you could.
The future, then. Just any time in the future. It's fine for me. Like, just outside of, like, get far into the future. We've, if a pandemic comes up one weekend, we're just like, it's fine. We got the boosters the next day or something. Like, that's the technology that I want. I want like installed, things in my eyeballs that are computers. I want augments. I want it all. That's where I want to live.
Yes, you just want to live that Wall-E life. That's for sure.
I want to just be in a floating chair, Justin, and I want to take baths, and then Kevin can eventually discover them.
Just thinking about Nate's dirty bathwater here. But that's also, a good metaphor for, I think, the past. As much of like a history buff as I am, studied history in university, and just to see any part of the ancient world, it would be really incredible. But I think the shock of the smell and the filth and the disease and the violence and, like, we are living in the best possible age that's ever existed. We're fortunate to be in a place of medical marvels and no slavery and, in our country and most places around the world, just things like that. I think I'm with Nate. I'm going to the future. I want to be able to erase any of the bad decisions I've made through eating, smoking, and drinking with medical advancements, that sort of thing. Give me the future. And maybe the Jays or Leafs will have won something by then, too.
Maybe. Darcy, how about yourself?
I guess maybe it's because I've been going to concerts more lately, getting back into the show going. Not quite as much as I used to when I was in high school, but still going a lot more than I have the last few years. I don't want to go back to like the 70s or something like that, where I could see
perfect for you.
AC/DC and Rush, like all my favorite classic rock bands in the prime, and like when they were ruling the airwaves and stuff like that. I'd want to go back to that time, I think.
Yeah, I'm with you, Darcy. I probably, I don't know if I would want to go to the future, just because I feel like the future is kind of already doomed. But I feel like
Kevin and I are just there, and then it's just one bathtub and nothing else.
That said, I would probably go back to the early 70s, sort of, I guess maybe even like the mid 70s, in and around the, the big boom in Hollywood, if you will. George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, Scorsese, Coppola, they're all just kind of up and coming. I'd love to like somehow sneak in and be friends with them. And
you just write Star Wars. Yeah. Yeah, with George Lucas. Okay.
I mean, even just to see Star Wars in theaters on like opening day would be so cool.
Oh,
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. It would be tons of fun to be a part of that. But look, before we get into everything, I do just want to take a moment and remind our listeners that we here at Geekcentric support the SAG-AFTRA as they strike to get the contract that they deserve. As we'll discuss today, without those actors, we wouldn't have fantastic characters we adore or we root for, and some that we even hate. Actors deserve the fair contract that reflects today's growing industry changes. So hopefully they can get what they deserve. We are thrilled to hear that the WGA has successfully gotten a contract that they fought for or bargained for. And we hope that the SAG-AFTRA will reach an agreement with the studios in the coming weeks, because feels like it's, might as well try to kill two birds with one stone. I don't know if that's a horrible analogy, but, fingers crossed as we hope for it. Now, let's get into the synopsis for today's review. Loki Season 2 picks up in the aftermath of the shocking season finale, when Loki finds himself in a battle for the soul of the Time Variance Authority. Along with Mobius, Hunter B-15, and a team of new and returning characters, Loki navigates an ever-expanding and increasingly dangerous multiverse in search of Sylvie, Judge Renslayer, Ms. Minutes, and the truth of what it means to possess free will and glorious purpose. This season features the executive producing team of Kevin Feige, Stephen Brozard, Luis Desposito, Victoria Alonso, Brad Windenbaum, Tom Hiddleston, Kevin R. Wright, and Michael Waldron. We also have a new head writer for this season, Eric Martin, who is also an executive producer. And these 6 episodes feature 3 different directors, Dan DeLua, Kasra Farhani, and the directing duo from Moon Knight, Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead. This series stars, of course, Tom Hiddleston, Sophie DiMartino, Gugu Mbatha-Raw, Wunmi Mosaku, Eugene Cordero, Raphael Cassell, Tara Strong, Kate Dickey, Liz Carr, Neil Eilis, and Jonathan Majors, Ki-hee Kwan, and Owen Wilson. Loki premieres exclusively on Disney Plus October 5th, 2023, and like Ahsoka, it'll be dropping 6 p.m. Pacific Time and 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Thank goodness.
Every Thursday, by the sounds of it. So that is great news. Thankfully, they learned from Ahsoka to do that. As always, a huge thanks to our friends at Disney Plus Canada and by extension Marvel Studios Canada for giving us 4 episodes to review ahead of this show's release. As mentioned, we'll be doing this spoiler-free. So I've sort of come up with 3 talking points or pillars, if you will, for this review. The first will be our initial thoughts, then we'll move into look and feel, then performances, and then we'll wrap from there. So let's kick things off with our initial thoughts, and I'm just going to start the ball if that's okay with you guys. I personally really enjoyed these first 4 episodes. I was pleasantly surprised by the change in pace that these 4 episodes gave us. Season 1 had the mystery box effect going for it. So everything was new and we were learning more about the TVA and timekeepers and pruning and the void, and so much was going on. And there was this sort of singular pace or singular focus with a slower pace as you sort of unravel the mystery to this new part of the MCU. But here with season 2, the groundwork has already been set, so things move far quicker. Rather than there being a mystery that slowly unravels, we have a problem that needs to be solved very quickly, which is established at the end of season 1 with the breaking of that sacred timeline. So this is all in the effects of the aftermath. So I think the change in pace and bit of tone was very welcomed, and I really enjoyed it.
See, I hate to jump in and start off on a negative note, because for the most part I really did enjoy our first episodes, but I would say I didn't find the pace to be all that breakneck. You mentioned that there's a problem that they're looking into, and I found by the end of 4 episodes we're still working on this. They say they have to solve this problem quickly, but we're 4 episodes into this issue and they haven't gotten any closer, I don't think, to solving this problem. So I just found it stalled a little. It was a little repetitive in what the main focus for these characters is as we go through those 4 episodes. I will say, however, the practical physical sets in this show are absolutely incredible. Holy moly. It's some of my favorite production value in anything in a long, long time. I was floored. It was so nice to get away from the void and CGI. It really felt like they were in these spaces, and some of these sets just seemed so massive. So I was quite impressed.
Yeah, I think as far as just kind of what you're describing, though, Kevin, for myself, like, yes, I found the pace to actually still be pretty breakneck. Episodes at times did feel a bit disorienting, but I feel like by the time we get to those fourth episodes, like if you're watching this series and the season, and you sort of start to feel like, oh, I kind of feel pretty confused in this moment. There were moments where I would start a new episode and feel like, okay, did I miss an entire episode? But I promise you, if you're listening to this, as you get through this season, it is worth having those feelings. I think it's very purposeful the way that they're doing this, and I think it makes for something that's really, really exciting. And I think I think the idea behind it is it's just like, if it was any other show, and I felt this way, I'd be like, oh, it's poorly written. But this one, if you just stick with it, it'll work itself out. And I think that's what makes the show so much fun to watch. And I think really it's going to make it really fun to watch again a second time once the season wraps.
Yeah, no, just a fun analogy. Me being the big Whovian that I am, when there's a time travel, mystery or, problem to be solved, all I can help but think is Doctor Who. And this has all the best moments or feels of Doctor Who, where you're along for the ride. It might be confusing to you, but someone knows what's going on, or if they don't, they will soon enough. And it's the way that they give you the answers to this question, and again, play with time, bouncing back and forth. Really fun. So I again really enjoyed these 4 episodes and came out of it just like I'd watched a really good arc in Doctor Who or whatever. So to me, that's doing time travel justice. If you're making me think of Doctor Who, that's only a good thing. So
yeah, I think the other thing too is it feels a little procedural, right? Like there's a time detective quality to this season that again adds to that haste and things moving quickly and wanting to sort of solve it. But I hear what you're saying, Kevin. It's a sense of urgency to get it resolved, but we're not getting there. And I think that the idea is the 6 episodes is very much hopefully to do that. And I think that's sort of what they're building on.
I get what Kevin's saying too. It almost feels video gamey in a sense, where you have this the end of the world situation going on, but you can go and take all the time you want to do your side quests and get all your ducks in a row before you go and tackle this big problem that is supposed to be under a time crunch. So I do, the time crunch seems almost forced, where they could have built to it. They drop that bomb, and the intensity of it is a bit too ramped up from the beginning, that they aren't dealing with it fast enough, I feel.
That's a very good way of putting that, Darce. I think that might have summed up my issue very well, is that we sort of learn about this issue and it really takes off right at the end of that first episode. And by the end of the 4th episode, it's still just, it seems to be at the very same intensity. And, the characters keep saying, we only have minutes. We have to do something quick. And, then like you said, they'll deviate and do a side mission. And those are really fun and they're great, but I don't think they do any justice to the overall problem. So like you suggested, Justin, maybe if this issue was ramped up over the course of these 4 episodes a bit differently, it would have maybe hit a little differently for me. Again, it feels like a very big nitpick that I'm doing here, because I really did enjoy so much about everything. One of my favorite aspects, speaking of time travel, is how they play with the rules of cinematic time travel so much, and are just like, they instantly go, yeah, we're just going to do this. Like, they literally make jokes in the show about how preposterous their grasp on time travel is, and they don't give a shit. And that makes it very, very fun.
Yeah, they're having fun with it. And I think that, again, that adds to the initial first reaction experience. It's fun. These episodes are definitely fun. And again, to preface, we did binge these back to back to back, whereas obviously as you, the audience, you're going to be experiencing it on a weekly basis. And I myself am very excited to hear the conversations, but I do think what you're pointing out, Kevin, in terms of the pace, could be a topic of discussion from week to week with each of the episodes. But you mentioned it already, Kevin. Let's talk about look and feel. The consistency from season 1 to season 2 with the look and feel of the retro tech, the world of the TVA. It's expanded on so much more. We're seeing new pockets of this massive, I guess, place, if you will. It's not necessarily just a building. It's a huge place. We're getting a look at the innards, and I think that, you know, that sort of retro vibe very much finds its way even into sort of the cinematography in a lot of ways. The cinematography has the picture has such a textural, granular quality that feels retro and feels very, you know, past technology, if you will. Even though we know it's digital and they're probably doing a lot of this in post, still the color palette is soft and warm, while also having sort of grays mixed in to kind of give you a sense of the time shifts and whatnot. So I think, again, the consistency of the production design, the consistency of the look from season 1 to season 2, they've done such a great job with continuing that.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of my favorite things, and there are certain moments within the TVA, the way they're shot in terms of the cinematography, that look like they're inspired by Wes Anderson, and I absolutely love it. I think there's like the green and brown and orange tones that sort of surround these characters. It continues to drive that TVA vibe that sort of was built within that first season, and I really found this true the first time that we meet Kihei Kwan's character Ouroboros. There's just this really phenomenal balance of just the room that he's standing in, and while there's sort of little chaotic little pieces kind of strewn about the entire set, there's still the way it's shot is just a perfect balance on either side, and I really, really dug that. And I think between that and then even just some of the ways that they edit to kind of with the color grading and the way that the editing kind of works together at the same time, as you said, to show those differences in moments in time is so cool, and it just really adds to the overall experience.
Yeah, just a side note, you know, the one thing I love about those sort of very symmetrical shots, you know, it's kind of a reflection of time, that there needs to be a sense of balance. And sometimes when you see those shots, it's very much in correspondence to talk about balance. And I think that's, like you said, intentionally done with whomever's in the frame and whatever's happening. So I really do think that, again, they've really stepped up the look and feel to feel like a continuation, but working on it to go further.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of like that look and that retro vibe that they've got going for them, again, makes me think more Doctor Who too, because you think of that early stuff where they have their futuristic stations or, you know, technology, stuff like that. It is very futuristic using retro stuff, so it looks like it belongs in the future, but we know it can never exist. And there's something about that the beauty of that, like you can recognize almost every piece that they're using for these practical designs, but the way they put them together, it becomes otherworldly and so fantastical. And just, again, the level of detail and the amount of effort they put into each of these sets and the production value is just incredible. So yeah, they definitely upped it from the first season.
Yeah, it's really quirky, I think, as well. And I think these episodes, as far as like sort of the overall feel of the show as well, I think I felt that they were a bit funnier at times. I think if you can get past some of the confusion moment to moment, I think there's some really funny sequences, and especially as we've already kind of discussed, involving the characters and their understanding of time. And I will say, I think if you enjoyed some of the moments in terms of like exploring different timelines or branched timelines from the previous season, and if you've seen the post-credit scene from Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, there's a really excellent moment in this season so far that just is so much fun to explore. And again, if you've seen that post-credit scene, you'll know what I'm referring to.
Absolutely. I really did love the tone of the show, and I thought, you know, to sort of it did sort of sway nicely between this sort of comedic friendship adventure that they have that matched sort of the tone and mood of a lot of the settings, but then they also mix in these elements of tension and suspense and even horror in some elements. Like there is some pretty dark stuff that takes place at some points that is such a cool counter effect to the tone we've been getting even just moments earlier. So I think they do a really cool job of weaving up and down and playing with your emotions and how you're engaging with the show throughout.
I couldn't agree more. I think that much like time and you moving through different times, you're moving through different styles of genre throughout this show. You're laughing at the sort of buddy cop nature of Owen Wilson and Loki as now, like, we saw the beginnings of that relationship in season 1, and now we're seeing just full on buddy cop TVA time detective mode, and it's great. But yes, there's all of these elements of horror and this sort of Marvel epicness that you would expect sprinkled throughout. So, they're doing a really great way in these 4 episodes, at least, balancing all of that and still having it really influence, I think, the larger story.
Yeah, it's more Loki, essentially, is I think what we're all trying to say. It's more Loki, and it has all the things that made the first season great. But I think the best part that I've been really digging is just now it has the chance to run as fast as it can towards what's next. And I think that's really exciting. I think the show, I think it's cool how the show still manages to bring that intrigue episode to episode, while, in my opinion, still moving at the pace that it is.
Yes, well said. I think that it now has done the groundwork in season 1, and with season 2, the tone does feel like a rapid pace that moves quickly but clearly at the same time, and it keeps you engaged. Another thing that kept me engaged was the fantastic score from Natalie Holt. Again, another consistent piece from season 1 that found its way into season 2 is that music, and the way the theme is used throughout the show is so cleverly done. It matches the times. It's fantastic. Natalie Holt is absolutely is top at her game here. She's killing it with this score.
Yeah, I love obviously the theremin with the theme, adding to that sort of vintage mystery vibe. But yeah, like, you're right, like all the different ways that she adjusts that theme, and not only just that theme, but I mean, even the Marvel fanfare at one point gets we get another really cool iteration on that Marvel fanfare, and it just helps to keep things, again, for a show that can go so dark, like we're talking about, it keeps things fun and bouncy and light. But then if the emotions need to hit at certain points, she's just got such a wonderful way to make those transitions feel natural. And yeah, I've always enjoyed the music in the show, and this season is no different.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Okay, so let's talk about these performances. And Nate, you already mentioned it. I think this is the elephant in the room, or the key in the room. Ki-Hye Kwan as Obi. I'm gonna just say, this guy, he is going to be a fan favorite. People are going to love him, and what's great is that he's just being Ki-Hye Kwan.
I love it.
He's it's not like he's putting on a character persona. I feel like there's probably a bit of nuance of it, but it just feels so inherently Key, and I love it. He's fantastic in this show.
Yeah, he's such a welcome addition to this cast. He does nothing but add and enhance the characters and the story that he's involved with. So I think, and right from, the opening scene that we see him in, the first line of dialogue, you're just instantly like, oh, I dig what they're doing with this guy. This is fun. And it works really well. I think overall, the acting performances are really terrific here. There's some really surprising turns in characters and their motives, and they feel very much affected and different from what happens in that first season. I'm just going to go right out though and say this is another Jonathan Majors acting choice that I am not digging. This is his second Kang iteration that I'm just like, it's just hokey and over the top for me. So I'm going to put it out there so that you can all tell me how wrong I am.
I mean, listen, obviously there's a lot of things going on in the real world, in our IRL world with Jonathan Majors, and we're not necessarily going to kind of dive in and dig into the legal situations going on. I honestly thought that his performance was actually pretty stellar here. I think I think it's so different from him as Kang in Ant-Man, and I think we get a much more aspirational and human character. But I think at the same time, what's so great about the way that he does the performance is that as much as there's moments where you kind of want to be on his character's side, you still wonder how much you can trust him. And I think that's such a unique sort of thing that for a lot of performance, a lot of actors, it's like, oh, they're so charming, I love them, or they're so despicable, I hate them. And this is I think he's doing a great job or he did a great job of getting us to a point where we're kind of in between with this character.
Yeah, he does a great job of bringing a variant to the existing variants of Kang, and I think now that we've sort of seen 3 iterations, maybe more, of the character, it was welcomed, and I think we talked about it, that the con artist vibe to him, the idea that he sort of leverages that people look at him as being weak as part of his con, that I think that makes him actually kind of scary and smart in the way that he's sort of maneuvering these situations. But yeah, he's outstanding. Owen Wilson, I absolutely adore. Getting more time with him. We see some other sides of him as well, because I think you said it really well, Kevin. I think everyone in the cast, especially from the TVA side, they're reconciling what the events of season 1. They're trying to understand their own existence now, and I think that sort of manifests its way through the various characters in different ways, and I absolutely love that.
Can I jump in with obviously Loki himself, Tom Hiddleston? I think he's not dropping a beat here, obviously, but he's always been Loki. I think he always will be for all time, always. But in this season, we have our elevated Loki from last season, but there's a tinge of what I would call classic Loki from the Avengers movies. And there's one scene in particular with Raphael Cassel's character, who's new in this season. He's also really fun. But it just brought me right back to that classic Loki feel, and we get to see him flex his villain side just a little bit more. And it's one of those things where I'm like, oh, I missed. As much as I love what they're doing with the Loki character through this series, I missed that. And I never thought, I really haven't ever really thought of the idea of nostalgia for a performance side of a character and a character sort of acting decisions. And I'm feeling it. He's nailing it.
I feel like in a lot of ways we're seeing a new side of Loki, while we get to see these hits, as you said, of the nostalgia of the old school Loki, the villain Loki. But there's purpose in Tom Hiddleston's performance of Loki. There's a sense of empathy and heroism as well. There's a sense of fear as well. I think that he's amassed so many different emotions to sort of reshape this new Loki, while still giving us these little moments where we can be like, oh yeah, that's classic Loki.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, I don't know if there's a character in the MCU that has grown and evolved more than Loki. And so it is fun, like you said, to see him sort of play those hits, those classic moments of old school Loki. But now it's like anytime he does it, he's being evil for the sake of good. And so it's even a fun spin on those old tropes that made him, instantly popular right from the first movie all the way up till now. And so, no, I think he must just be having a ball getting to, do so many different iterations and changes with this character over the years. And he's hitting it out of the park every time, especially here.
Everyone I wanted to bring up has been brought up already, but again, the whole cast has been incredible. Every time we get a scene between these characters, I think that is really where they shine, is how they play off each other. Because again, you get a lot of Loki and Mobius, but also Mobius and Obi, Mobius and B-15. Like, all the characters have time to really evolve and go through and discuss some of these big moments together, and you again really get a window into how each of these characters is dealing with this revelation of what the TVA truly is, and now what's at stake without Kang, or what He Who Remains, being behind the seat and pulling all the strings anymore. So again, it's very cool to see the fact that both new cast and returning are able to add so much to this story that is already incredible.
Well, and I mean, yeah, Wunmi as Hunter B-15, we're getting more of her. We're getting more Eugene Cordero's Casey, which is just so much fun. And there's a really interesting dynamic, I think, between Casey and Kihei Kwan's character that's just really, really fun. And I'm stoked to kind of see how they might explore that in the future. I also just want to bring up Tara Strong as Miss Minutes. She's obviously incredible as always, but if you are a Miss Minutes fan from the first season, I think you're going to be stoked with how much more of her we get this season, because I think in season 1 she felt more like a device to be used for delivering exposition and sort of like that background character in a way. But in this season, she's a full-blown character with full personality, full character motivations, and she's definitely going to be the character that I'm just so super interested to see what happens with her as we continue.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how her story unfolds, and especially even Renslayer to a certain degree.
Absolutely. Yeah, Gugu is also
Gugu's fantastic.
doing a great job. Yeah.
But yeah, there's a variety of characters, like we said, they all work really well, returning cast and newcomers to the series, and they all find their voice and find their place in this show. Okay, well, look, usually at the end of these reviews, we would give you a score and our final thoughts. But, because we were gifted with 4 of the 6 episodes, we're not going to give you a score. We're not going to give you our final thoughts. Instead, I thought it would be interesting if we could share which is our favorite of the 4 episodes that we watched. Minimal explanation as not to get into too much spoilers. And also which episode we are excited for audience members to see.
Well, I would say, I think as far as what I can't wait for people to see, it's got to be episode 4. I can't wait to see how people react to it. I'm really intrigued to see the theories that pop up once it's aired. I can't wait to just keep going. I think as far as my favorite episode, though, I'm going to go with episode 1. I think it's so chaotic. It's also the episode that we're introduced to Ke Huy Quan's character, which I'm stoked for him to get even more flowers with this series. Like he's such a delightful character. I love how analog he is amongst all these characters that are sort of all over the place.
He's balanced.
And it's just so fun, and it is also the only episode to feature an after credits scene. So make sure you stick through to the credits to watch it. But yeah, no, it is. I think episode 1 is my favorite.
Darcy, how about you?
Well, yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly. 4, just the way the story builds to that point, I think is really pivotal, and I can't wait again to see the discussions that fall out from that 4th episode. And again, the first one to me felt the most Doctor Who out of all four episodes. The first one had that Doctor Who classic, the way they play with time to tell a story really had me hooked and excited for the rest of the season. So yeah, hands down, episode 1 is my favorite of the 4, and I can't wait to talk about that one too, as much as the 4th one.
Yeah, I do really think that the first and 4th episodes are probably the strongest. But I'll give a shout out to the 3rd episode, because that's where they have the most fun in terms of the time travel. Like, I think that's for sure. If that's something you're really interested in, that 3rd episode will stand out for fans who want to see them out of the TVA in a time travel sort of escapade, if you will. So that 3rd one was really cool just for the way it played with time travel in that sense.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I think my favorite episode is episode 1. It kicks things off. It really establishes the tonal shift that we were talking about. You have a lot of fun with it. Nate used the perfect word, chaotic. I think it's a top tier, great premiere episode, and you're going to be able to watch that later this week. And I'm with Kevin. I think episode 3 is the one that I look forward to people seeing and what the discussions are going to be after that, because there's all sorts of stuff and there's some cool time travel that happens in episode 3 that makes it worthwhile. And I'm very excited for that to kind of be the kickstart to the conversation, which would then lead into an episode 4. But I'm excited. I know we're all excited to be talking about these in full spoiler and to see the conversations. I'm already looking forward to all the new Rockstar videos that are just going to drop about breaking this thing down in all its glory. Now, while we're excited to talk about this show in full spoiler capacity, we're actually going to be holding off on running our traditional Watch Club format for this season of Loki until episode 4 drops. We'll be posting a spoiler-filled discussion as one episode for episodes 1 to 4, and then we will do separate traditional Watch Club episodes for the penultimate and the finale of the season. So look forward to those. But that is it for our spoiler-free review for Marvel Studios Loki Season 2. Again, a huge thanks to our friends at Disney Plus Canada for gifting us with these 4 episodes early. We hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, feel free to subscribe to us wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you don't mind, why don't you leave us a review? 5 stars. It helps us out, gets more people seeing this podcast, and we love talking geek with everyone. And if you want to write into the show and let us know your thoughts on Loki Season 2 once it starts airing, well, you can do so by reaching out to us at wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. That's wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. Or you can reach out to us on the app formerly known as Twitter at GeekcentricYT, or on Instagram at wearegeekcentric. Also, we have our Discord open for spoiler-filled discussions. So once episode 1 drops this Thursday, October 5th, we'll probably open up a spoiler channel for people to jump in and share their thoughts, because we would love to hear what people think about that first episode. Keep in mind, we have a ton of other content covering their latest movies and TV shows, including our spoiler-free review for The Creator, Gareth Edwards' latest sci-fi original film, which is in theaters now. We also have our spoiler-free review for Expendables 4, which I think is still in theaters if it hasn't been pulled, but
it's already on digital at some point. Somehow. Yeah, probably.
And if you're a fan of a galaxy far, far away, and you're a fan of all things spoilered, well, we are calling it a wrap on our latest Watch Club series for Star Wars Ahsoka. Currently, right now, we have the first 7 episodes out as Watch Club discussions, where we get into all sorts of spoilers. The latest episode, we share our theories about how this is all coming to an end and what the hell is Baylan Skoll really up to. But this week, we'll be closing it out with the finale, and we have a special guest for that episode, so you don't want to miss it. The Hot Geek Summer is done. We're getting into the fall, which means, pumpkin spice lattes and, scarves and, shackets and all sorts of stuff. Shackets.
What's
yeah,
a shacket?
Like it's a jacket. Sweater jacket.
I thought it was a shitty jacket. Okay.
Wouldn't it be
sweater
swacket?
jacket? That's nicer.
I think it's supposed to be
Swack it.
swacket.
Yeah,
Oh,
shacket, swacket, whatever.
We swacking it.
You know,
Yeah.
you know what it is. So we got more stuff on the way for the fall. But until then, Nate, Darcy, Kevin, thank you so much for joining me for this spoiler-free review. And as we say,
For all time, always. Love ya.
Laters.
Get home safe, guys.
peace.